Hi, welcome back to my table. Okay, what we're going to do today is in the wire group I'm in Facebook called the Wire Art and Jewelry Group, created by Heather Boyd. I've posted several different pictures of this type of bracelet and have very positive responses on it. And one person asked if I'd do a tutorial, so let's give her a shot. What you're going to need is 12 gauge, 2 pieces, what I refer to as the straight wire, the part 2, cut about between 11 and 12 inches long, and then the wire that wraps around the beads, roughly 14 to 15 inches long. And then for the wrapping, we're going to use 24 gauge. First, what you want to do is take your bead. By the way, make sure they got holes big enough to go onto the 12 gauge. If not, you can make it with smaller wire. I just suggest I wouldn't go anything smaller than 18 gauge when you make the bracelet. But what you do is you take your biggest bead, or the middle bead, and you try and get it as centered as much as possible on the wire. And then you want to take the wire that goes around the bead and do the same thing, center it as much as possible. And while you got it pinched between your fingers, you want to take one side, bend it around the bead, going over the top of the straight wire, and then you want to wrap twice. Around that straight wire. So you got 1, 2. Okay, and this is what you're going to have so far. And then make sure your wire is going straight. Then you just turn it around and do the same thing. Pull it around the bead, going over the middle wire. Remember to stay in the middle. And the same thing, go around twice. Once, twice. So here's where you should be. Okay, once you get that far, again, try and make sure it's centered, because once you get past this point, it's going to be a little harder to line up. So now what we want to do is take one of the smaller beads, put her on, snug it up, hold it, and now do the same thing. Wrap the wire around the bead, going over the top of that straight wire again, and again 2 times around. 1, 2. Again, bring the wire straight off. So now you got the colored wire going around the bead on that side, and you going around the opposite on the other side. Turn the bracelet. Take your other bead. Same thing. Bend it around the bead, going over the straight wire, and again twice around. 1, 2. And there's where you should be at right now. Now this next step, you want to get your pliers and you want to try and make as clean a bend as possible. So what you want to do is, say 2 millimeters away from the wire. You're on the colored wire, but you want to be 2 millimeters away from this wire here, roughly, give or take. Give it a nice crisp bend. And then turn it around and do the same thing. And there's where we're at. Now, before we get ready to start the wrapping, what I like to do here is I like to cut it the length I need. That's why I left the lines up on a mat this time, because I got a ruler. What you want to do is I do the measurement for the center of this bead. You want to go from the midway point of 4 1/4 inches, and then cut them both. That's one side. Then you want to take her again, four and a quarter. So now you have your finished operating length. Now it's time for the 24 gauge. What I roughly use is about just under 6 foot of 24 gauge per side. You can use 26. Just remember you have to use a little bit more because you'll need a little bit more to complete the wrapping. Luckily for me, my table's 4 foot. And it doesn't matter which side you start on because you can do the same thing to both. You want to go on the straight wire and take your 24 gauge and wrap the straight wire 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure they're all nice and pushed together. And once you got that, you want to slide it all the way into the bracelet, and it should rest right underneath the color. And now you can do whatever pattern you like. What I like to do is I call it the 6-4 alternate. I'm sure there's a more better name, or probably a better name or a more exact name, but that's just what I refer to it. what you want to do is I go 4 times around both. Three, 4. Make sure they stay together. And then go 6 times around the straight wire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4 around both again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So like I said, you start out, you got the 4, the 6 in between, and then 4. And then what I call alternate, because what I like to do then is for the next 6 to go on to the opposite wire. Four, 5, 6, and 4 around both. 4. And you keep doing that. Keep going all the way till you get 1/2 inch from the end. And now through the magic of TV, show you, got a different one here. I kept it going to the end. Once you get halfway, or get to basically 1/2 inch from the end, you want to make sure you end on where you got the 4 around both. It's just a cleaner finish look. Then what I do is I trim this wire, and then to finish it off, make sure you're on the underneath when you finish it of the bracelet, or what, the part that touched the wrist. And you want to tuck the wire through the last 4. Pull it through. You want to make sure the wire stays flat on the top. Give her a nice tug. Like so. So you got it finished. And then your end should look like that. Then you just want to take your fingernail, basically give it a little starting split, and then flatter around those. Just give a nice little loop. And when you bring the loop around, rest it just on the inside of the last double wrap around. And then the same for the other side. what you have is that. And then what I like to do is just take my round nose, stick one to each hole, and just carefully squeeze those together, just so it doesn't look so spread out. Nylon pliers, just get a little flattening squeeze, and you're almost ready to bring it home. That's what you should have so far. And then something, a mandrel or anything around to bend it around to get the shape. I just been fortunate enough to have one of these. Just center it on there. Give her a slight bend. Sorry if that's off camera, it's just awkward to bend it around. And then my favorite part, work out some frustrations. Harden her up a little bit. And just make sure the bends are centered as best as you can. And there you go. You just completed making your first, we call it 3-bead cuff bracelet. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you do make one on your own, please post a picture of it so everybody can see what you've done. Either post it here, or if you're a member of the Wire Art and Jewelry Facebook group, post it there. Just let me know if you are inspired or not. And as always, be good to one another. Until next time. Bye-bye.